We got our guest today, my man
We
Hussein in the building. No clap still? No clap for Hussein? Come on, man. You gotta get it up. Say what's going on?
Chillin', man. Thank y'all for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Pulling up.
Absolutely.
For sure. Thank you.
This is now. You never met you.
We met in the elevator.
That's what's up. You know what I'm
Good.
saying? Hussein, what's up, man?
I'm chillin',
What's
man.
going on? HAHOMES, you want to talk about it?
Yeah, for sure.
Just let them know what HAHOMES is, what it stands for.
All right. HAHOMES is a company that started about 5 years ago, and initially it started out with just properties that I owned myself, and I wanted protection. We could probably get into that later. Protection from like lawsuits and that type of thing. So I just opened up a LLC or corporation, and then you know, we could get into it a little bit. But long story short, we started the company and it was something that worked for me, so I wanted to spread my information and everything to other people. So we were able to start taking what we call micro investors and use that money to purchase more homes and more properties. And over the few years, people have been able to branch off and get their own corporations, their own properties, and we've been spreading to different cities. We're in the South, we started to move towards the West Coast, Puerto Rico, Florida. So that's basically what it is. So we do investing, we do management, as far as property management. We flip houses. We just flip stuff in Philly, and that's what we're doing. So anything real estate or investment based.
That's what's up. That's what's up. You hear that, right? Come on. How did you get really? That's kind of dope, bro. Like young black man. How rare are you in that field?
Oh man, we knocked down a lot of walls. Me being Hussein Abdullah and doing business in Texas, and being young and being educated. There's so many opportunities that other people just feel like they can't get. But we really have more access than we believe.
Okay.
I have knocked down some walls, but the money's there and the opportunities are there. So, I mean, can I ask a question or pose a question?
Yeah, of course.
So, it's about to be tax return time, right? It's tax season. Most people get back a few bands, right? 3,000, 5,000, 8,000. Chanel, you get back a decent return or whatever?
Chanel.
Right now, not nothing that crazy.
All right, whatever. 2, 3, 1,500, whatever it is, right? So you've been working X amount of years, so you've gotten these checks 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. The typical person gets that check, and all they do is they recoup. They spend it. They spend their holiday money, and they know, well, I'm just gonna use this tax return money, and I'm just gonna knock that bill out. And it's a perpetual cycle. And every year you have an opportunity to take that lump sum and invest it and grow something that you might not know that you have access to. So this isn't that I'm doing anything so special. It's just that I knew that I had access to it. So about 3 or 4 years ago, you could have bought a row house in Philadelphia for $4,500 cash.
$4,500 cash.
Wow.
And that same house today is worth about $40,000 or $50,000.
Wow.
Did not see that. So how did a young dude like you start? Like,
I just asked a lot of questions. I read a few books, and I look for opportunities, and I listen.
you listen.
Listen.
So like a lot of people listen. A lot of people know like stock market. That's the way to go. Investments the way to go. What would stop people? What is really stopping people besides like a recuperation for holiday pays? I mean, like, you know, the holiday season spending and all that, trying to recuperate for income tax time and things like that. Besides that little scare right there, like, what else stop people from?
I think a lot of people have fear of their money being taken advantage of, losing their money. And there's no risk, there's no reward.
Right.
So you have to take a percentage and take a risk. I've lost money, but I've won more than I lost.
Okay.
And as adults, when you make mistakes, they cost you money. You learn from them, but they cost you money. So every time we take an L, I call the business school. So,
okay.
right, because in business, again, I have a corporation. Every time I take an L, it's a write-off. So even when I lose, I still get some of that money back, and I have new information. And with the way my business is set up, let's say we spoke. We like to interview, and you said, you know what, I'm going to come into $3,000 or $4,000. What can you do with $3,000 or $4,000 if you wanted to invest in New York? Nothing. Even if you wanted to buy a condo in Brooklyn, even if it was in the hood, whatever it is.
That is rent. What are you talking
Right,
about?
right.
You hear what he said?
Right.
That ain't your rent, bro. What are you talking about?
Right. So you can't do anything with $3,000 or $4,000 in a place like New York. And I say, well, there's these great opportunities in Georgia, there's great opportunities in Texas, and you say, but I don't know anybody in Texas. I don't have that outlet.
Okay.
So then we would speak, and I would say, well, how much right now, if you had $10,000 in the bank, how much interest would you make off that in a year? How much would you? A bank is not even giving you 0.5%.
I'm about to tell you that.
Wow.
So if you had,
There's no risk in the bank.
right,
At all.
right,
You guarantee your money back.
exactly. So if you had $10,000 in the bank for a year, you were getting 0.5% interest. At the end of the whole year, all you make is $5. That's it.
Yes, right.
So you put your money in there, and then if you factor in something like,
How much the bank just made though?
oh, the bank,
Maybe.
right?
They made all the
They
money.
live off deposits. So
Right.
what you mean?
So now, if you leave your money in the bank, and then we talk about inflation, and like you said, you talk about paying rent.
Okay.
Every year your rent goes up 2, 3, 4%, and that's just to keep up with inflation. So if you left $10,000 in the bank after 1 year, you literally lost 3% of your money because your money lost value.
Right.
So if you depreciated. So if you left that same $10,000 in there for 10 years, you just lost 30% of your money.
Mm-hmm.
And people hold on to that because they're like, I need my cash, I need my cash. But if you're not doing anything with your money and you really are trying to save it, like if it's not something you need for a bill, if you invested it,
Right.
now you can do something.
Right.
And basically, people have fear because they're like, I'm not gonna give you my money, but you'll give it to some faceless corporation that's gonna make money off of it and know that you're losing money, keeping you in the same circle.
Do you
In the same cycle.
think people know they're losing money?
No.
Not at
They don't look at it like
all.
that.
Not at all.
They're not gonna look at it
So
like
how do you get the comment? Do you even teach?
Yeah.
Or do you just go after the money? Or do you try to inform, even though you're not a client, I still would like to inform the youth and like people of your color. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. I do a lot of outreach. I do a lot of mentoring. I like to talk to teens. I talk to teens all the time that want to be entrepreneurs. And we have conversations like Birdie and I met. We met 10, 12 years ago. We both young entrepreneurs, whatever it is. And we have those conversations. So the circles that I'm in, I'm typically around young people who are doing positive things. And sometimes I catch people who are on the shelf. So some of my clients are people who could have went either way. Some of my clients are older people who are established. So I have a range of clients. But for the younger children or the youth or the teens, whatever it is, I try to show by example. But then I also try to bring them in the fold and have little things, like little conversations about budgeting or whatever it is, and start to set the trend.
Let me ask you, how much of the what's that? The Nielsen ratings?
Okay.
How much of that do factor in on blacks and whites and ownership? Like the numbers. Because if you go on, say you go on Google and you Google African Americans, the percentage of African Americans in America, it'll come up 13%.
Okay.
But a lot of people say that goes off the Census Bureau, right?
Okay.
And they be like, how many of y'all really fill out those papers?
Right.
Is that accurate, or is like, do you really go off of that? Because like, boom, if you Google like how many people in America owns houses, it'd be like 60-something%
Okay.
of Americans own homes
Okay.
in America. And if 13% of those homeowners, well, not even homeowners, 30% is African Americans. We know they ain't owning. How many of us really be owning houses,
Right.
homes?
Right.
Do that really play a factor? Do you really see like that's what's really going on? Like we really not owning anything. Like we really the people that's just renting. Like we're renting everywhere we go. Cause I feel like that's be the big problems in our neighborhood. Like we call it like you know like even Hope said, this ain't even your neighborhood. You dying over this is not your neighborhood. This ain't your mom's building.
Right.
Yeah.
And y'all don't have plans to buy out these neighborhoods.
Right.
It's been for years too, 20 years, 40, you've been living for 40 years. You ain't buy one property. I know that's a big problem, but I'm asking you, what's really happening?
I
Since
think,
you in the market.
yeah, I think it's hard to tell, like you said, because there's people who don't fill out a census, and then there's other things like myself. So,
How about people in jail? Does that account too? Like, because there's a lot of in
Right.
jail, so.
so what I'm saying is, it depends, because if I purchase a building under a corporation, is it owned by African American?
I would say so. Because they say when the Jewish person owns the building, like, not saying Jewish ain't African American. There's African American Jews. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm saying they don't give the credit to Jews.
But what I'm saying is when I fill out my paperwork, there's no social. It's an EIN, which is a federal tax ID.
Yeah,
So
they don't know
it's owned by a business.
And how old?
I'm th- oh.
Okay.
No, you got
I'm
to
Young,
I'm
he's young, he young.
No, he
36.
not put down.
I'm 36. I'm
You gotta
36.
put down.
I'm 36. So most people look at me and they're like, all right, so like who do you work for? And I use that to my advantage. And I own buildings where there's people who are white, there's people who are black, and like I said, I own in different cities and I manage in different cities. But I don't need to put on airs for them. I just need to get the job done. And it makes it easier for me to move if people underestimate me. And I use that to my advantage a lot as a young black man.
How about like females? Because I feel like females don't take the initiative to be bosses like and buy homes as much as dudes.
I don't know.
Me personally, I'm not because I feel like a lot of females rather go get their body done, hit the strip club, make that bread
Do you
quick.
feel like it's that, or do you?
Because I feel people get lost in the cash and not the assets. You feel me?
I think that based on the stats, I think it's probably closer to 50-50. It might be 60-40 one way or the other, but I don't think that males buy homes by large. No, I don't think that's. I don't know. That's actually something I never really looked at. I can tell you this. When I first started out, I reached out to everybody that was around me, and I said, "Look, I'm trying to do something here. We could purchase a building." That's a few years ago. So we could purchase a property. Let's pool money. And there were a lot of people who I know had access to $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, and I know the number at the time that I needed was only like $30,000. Which I'm not saying is a little bit of money, but I'm saying if there's 10 people, if there's 10 people in
To
here,
make that happen.
we should be able to.
I was part of that conversation.
Yeah. and we're doing things. And what I'm saying is, we have that conversation, and I'm gonna say something that a lot of times people take to heart, or they feel like I'm saying I'm being a certain kind of way, and I'm like, I'll preface that by saying this. I'm gonna make an assumption everybody here is mid-20s, early 30s, whatever it is. So my assumption is that everybody here has had a job or worked for 10 years.
Okay.
Let's just say. And we'll just use it a round number. Let's say each year you earn $10,000. So that means you made 100 bands. I don't need anybody to raise their hands and ask their question. How much money do you have in the bank? Do you have 1% in the bank? Do you have 10% in the bank?
Most likely no.
Do you own assets? And then I ask you to go look in the closet. So the problem becomes a lot of times, and we have this conversation all the time, people want to look like a boss.
Right.
And I understand that. But the problem is when it's time to boss up, you're not in a position. So this is a true story. This happened to me. I hope I'm answering your question. You know, I grew up poor. Like, you know, the same story, nothing special about my story. I grew up broke, and I aspired to certain things, a certain car, a certain watch, a certain whatever lifestyle. And, you know, the deals got a little bit better, and I had like my first big deal where I pocketed a good amount of money. And people could attest to this. People know me, they could attest to this. So when I finally got my lump sum cash, the first thing I did, I said it if I knew money was coming, I bought a brand new BMW and I bought a presidential Rolex. And you couldn't tell me anything. And I wanted to watch for 18 years by the time I finally got it. And I bought it and I bought the same. And I took some money and I did do another investment. Like I didn't blow all of the money, but that's what I did. And I felt like top of the world. And now I was in a situation where I was doing bigger deals. It was no more, we're gonna buy a condo, we're gonna chip in, and I was able to start doing my own moves and maybe do different partnership deals. So now I got invited to a bigger deal, and then the money was a little bit bigger. But people knew the kind of money, they assumed the kind of money I was making because of the car I was driving and the watch and how I carried myself. So I go into the room and I'm feeling myself and I'm like, yo, I'm young, I'm getting it, I'm having this conversation, it's bigger money than I ever talked about. And I couldn't get on the deal because I didn't have money.
Mm-hmm. Look like you have one.
I felt like I had money. and I learned a real lesson. Like, you know, there's levels.
Mm-hmm.
And the honest fact now is, you know, after paying the bills and all that, like I still have the watch, I still have jewelry, but that's not important. Like, that's not what we're doing here.
Right.
The important thing is that once I got what I really thought I needed, it wasn't important. I didn't even wear that. I don't have a watch on now. I could have wore it. Yeah, I could. You know, it's not about that. And another thing I learned was take a car. You have a fancy vehicle in New York. You go to work. Most people go to work 40 hours a week. You don't get paid for lunch. You're commuting to work, and you have a second job, or you're going to school because you're trying to do something better, or you have a second hustle. So out of 24 hours in a day, how many hours are you really in your car? So you spending all that money to park it on the street so somebody could tear it up because your bumper gets jammed up. So now you have this $40, $50, $60,000 car to show everybody how fly you are. You're not even in it.
Especially in New York.
Especially in New York. I'm right. So now, who are you really doing it for? I mean, the car is comfortable, but you know, Toyotas and Nissans, the insides are the same. It's the same thing. Like you get a certified pre-owned if you really need to feel that way. So now, and that was an epiphany for me. Like, I look good in the car, but I'm never in the car because I gotta make money to maintain the car. I'm killing myself. I don't see my daughter because I'm out working to maintain the car. So I said, you know what? You know, I did that. I got it out of my system. You know, I drive a moderate type of car. And you know, if my income came to a point where I really couldn't feel it, and by not feeling it, I readjusted that number. Before it was like, if I could go 2 for 1, if I could buy the car twice, I'll buy it. Now the number's like 20 to 1, or a certain amount, because it's not important. And I think what happens with us is we have this thing where we're self-conscious, and we have to put on airs, and you gotta have the latest kicks, and because you want to fit in. But in reality, like you said, if you want to refer to hoes, like, but we don't own anything. All you own is what's in the closet, and that depreciates.
So yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
It does.